There we go. Oh, so this is the short tutorial, and Beth misses this. She can now get it on video. So glad you're here, Gretchen. So, what do you know about experiential education? I'm just kind of curious.
Nothing.
Perfect. So Beth, look at Beth. Beth is camera ready now. Awesome. So
Yeah,
Beth,
I
you're
can't
just in
believe
time.
I actually, you made me like get rid of my bed head and stuff for a minute here.
Well, you can accuse me or you can thank me. I don't care. Either one's fine. All right. This is a short piece of research on here about why experiential education works. This is Dr. Simon Priest. He has a website still at Tarac.com, I believe it's still up. And again, he's published over 12, probably 13 books by now. So the first part is I'll just make the point that experiential education works better than the classroom, and self-facilitating teams produce the greatest ROI on team building. And this is really a secret. That's an extra piece. Right here is this one. It shows that it works. And so in this chart, if you just look at it here, what this is doing is saying this here is the group's TDI score. It's a team development index. And so, oh, I'm sorry, actually the black one is the team development index. Now I gotta get this right. And so basically they started around 30, and by the time the program ended, they went up to 47 or so. So their team development scored. And then what this part here is in time, that a complex task took 45 minutes for this group to perform. They had similar tasks, but it was different enough that they weren't gaining information for it. By the time they were done, they could do it in 27 minutes. It's like a 40% decrease in time. And imagine what they could do with all the extra time with that. So this is just showing that experiential education can make a bottom line result, especially with teams. Hi, Teresa. So the next piece here is that it works better than the classroom. So if you look here, this is the X is the control group, which is you do nothing, you get nothing. Here is a classroom, and in a classroom where they just basically talk to you about team building, you got a blip. So this was a gain, and about a week later, it became shelfware. It went back. The group was about the same. This here, the solid dots. This was actually really interesting. Is that this is called pre-event anxiety. So before an experiential team building program, if people know about it, they freak out a little bit, and their team development index actually goes down. But look at the jump. This jump is a 77% boost. And I've been able to validate this with my own team building exercises. We do one, we coach the team on how to be a better team. They get to repeat it. And we've had 10 to sometimes 90% performance gains. It takes them less time. You can see here too, here's the other piece, is that over the course of a year, even though they had this awesome game, they start to lose some of it. So what I like to say is team building is like software. It needs constant upgrades. Otherwise, it's just going to age out and you go back to where you were. But this is the secret piece of the research here is self-facilitating teams produce the greatest ROI. And what I mean by that is that here's the control group. You do nothing, you get nothing. With no follow-up, the group is documented in about 6 to 12 months to go back to where they were before. If you do follow-up, what a lot of us as trainers are always professing, saying, hey, just give us an hour or two instead of a full day, and let us just keep hitting the group with repeated information, you can do that, but you retain about 80% of the gains. But these black dots here, if you can teach a team to self-facilitate, do what we do, ask questions, so what happened, so what do you make of this, and now what? Now what are you going to do different? If the team learns that skill, they can not only regain the gains that they had from a team building program, they can meet and exceed this. And this is really the secret for most of the teams that I've had personal experience with when they become winners, when someone converts a team from a losing team to a winning team. So anyways, that's your short version. We're 12:03. We're going to actually start here. And it looks like we've had a lot of other people log in. Welcome to Virtual Team Building. My name is John Chen. I am the CEO of Geoteaming, and you are here in a 1-hour course for virtual team building, probably because you've been mandated to work from home. So the cool part is, one is you can see this feature that I have here. This is a new feature I'm trying out. In Word, you can actually have captions. And so for those who may not have the audio or having not very good audio, it can actually help people learn while you're doing some PowerPoint or other type of presentations. I'm surprised it's pretty good, and I would love any feedback. You can put it in the chat window if it starts mishearing me. It won't pick you up right now. Unfortunately, it only picks me up. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start off with just some key aspects here. The challenge with teams. And you're most likely here, I've seen a lot of feedback here. We need ideas for team building, keeping our team together, keeping them engaged and not feeling isolated. And so I'm gonna just share a couple challenges that are with teams. This is common in the old reality. I'm just gonna tell you, a lot of them are exasperated in the new reality. And so let's go through these challenges with teams. The first challenge, of course, is communication, right? This fact, only 5.9% of companies communicate their goals daily. If you're a manager or you manage a team on here and you want to be in the like in the best 94% of companies, just send a daily email with your goals. It's amazing. I've talked to a lot of people and they forgot, they haven't done that. Some people were scrambling and talking to people one-on-one, but they have not yet had a group meeting since coronavirus came out. And this meeting helped them make that realization. So this is something that's really important. Communication, and one of the top pieces of challenges that teams have. The next one is in collaboration. 39% of all surveyed employees believe that their people in the organization don't collaborate enough. And I've done team building around the world. I've done 2,100 programs where there is a competitive goal and a collaborative goal. And I can tell you 80% of the teams just go completely competitive, even though I clearly told them, showed it on a screen, and told them there was an incentive for doing it. And so people don't collaborate enough. I will tell you this. I believe that the coronavirus is giving you an opportunity. I've been able to collaborate with many other of my teammates and friends and other trainers around the world, mainly now because they have the time. One of my friends gave me this quote, and he says, "Delivery is the biggest barrier to creativity and collaboration." I'll say that again. Delivery is the biggest barrier to creativity and collaboration. Now that we all have all this free time, like a lot of us, especially since we were like in-person trainers, we had the time. People are doing some incredible collaboration. So that's an opportunity. If your company's not doing it, you should look for that. It'd be great too when they're doing it without you, right? That's really the key. The next piece is alignment. 97% of employees and executives believe the lack of alignment within a team impacts the outcome of a task or a project. What I'm going to show you today too is a very small example, but you can see it. Virtual teams can think they're aligned. You can think that you sent them the email with all the same goal, but when stuff starts happening, they're not aligned. And that's what we see. This is what we look to demonstrate, because it can open a conversation. If in virtual team building, if you see it in a small initiative, then you can relate it to what's happening in the company. And a lot of times, this is what will help people shine when they get online. Last but not least, all of us, I believe, are mandated to work from home. I guess it's 4 days ago now, the Stay Home, Stay Healthy proclamation was passed here in Seattle, Washington, and you can't be out except for essential business and going to the grocery store, things like that. So I think very, very many of you are probably in places like that. I'll be curious to see. So those are the challenges with the teams. And now I like to propose a solution. And it's kind of how I felt, especially when I had 10 programs postponed, right? That I was ready. I was ready to have my best year ever, right? And this is my solution now. The solution is GER, right? If you feel like that, you can raise your hand. You can chat me in the window, but GER. So what does GER stand for? The first G stands for goals, right? A team becomes an alignment when they all talk about and agree upon their goals. This is what I've seen most in team success too. I've studied teams now for 23 years with this company, and 10 years while I was at Microsoft. And when a group has to have agreement on a goal, they have to have this piece too. They don't have to be completely bought in, but they have to at least be bought in enough to not sabotage the goal. And if they don't have an agreement on the goal, they're usually not the winning team. They're usually not the team that's performing. So getting your teams to agree on a goal is the #1 thing. The next part is rules. We've had the largest disruption known to date. And now you're coming online, and if you have not been online a lot, there's a whole new set of rules, right? Well, it's sometimes easy for sidebar conversations to happen in a face-to-face meeting, and people kind of know the rules because they grew up with face-to-face meetings. Having a sidebar conversation in Zoom is detrimental. And so that's one of the pieces that goes around with there. things like this. So now, we can actually look here. Around the rules is, at least when somebody is presenting, is that you usually want to mute because your voice will come over, your dog barks will come over, and your children who come back to you because you're homeschooling will also come over. Anyways, those are rules. The next R is around rhythm. And I've really been discovering it. Again, when you have a disruption, you break your rhythm. Your whole teams are used to coming in, getting their coffee, going to meetings, meeting with each other, getting work done. That rhythm is gone. And if you want to be a leader in this new virtual era, you can help them by establishing a new rhythm. I've heard other people take the information from this, and really it helped their teams. I actually heard at the UW, I'm here in Seattle, so that's University of Washington, that she said she was just on a call just before this. There were 7 people on the call. They were handling an emergency situation on the campus. There was no rhythm. They had no idea how to collaborate. Halfway through, somebody said, hey, let's try and use a Google Doc. And I think they all edited for the last 20 minutes. But there was no rhythm, and she goes, yeah, no, we didn't really make the decision we need to do. And after she was from this, she said, oh, I have greater odds that I think I can create that. So the last R is results. And this is what happens when you have goals, rules, and rhythm. You can create results. So in here, you can see, last year, I'm a very big car fan. I actually acquired a Porsche Boxster last year. I've been watching the F1 series on Netflix, and even if you don't like cars, it's really interesting. But this is a great example of teamwork. Here, over 20 people, they know the goal, they know their rules, they have rhythm, and what it allows them to do is completely change all the tires, gas up a car, and do any other maintenance in less than 2 seconds. These are the kind of things you need to look for on your teams. You want to look for results. You want to spread that story so you get even more of them. So that's the 4 letters. Now, let's do this. I believe the goal for this meeting, for you, I'm just going to guess, is to host a productive team meeting and establish the best team practices online. So hopefully that's your goal. And if you have other goals, I would love to know what they are. But that's what my assumed goal is for this course. So now I'm going to teach you your first team building initiative, and this is called Go Ahead Caller. So again, I kind of mentioned that it's very difficult to have sidebar and have everybody talking at the same time on these video conferences. So I use something called Go Ahead Caller, and I actually developed this 20 years ago. This is to work on telecons when we couldn't see each other. Now at least we have a little visual, we have a little bit easier piece. But if you want to be the moderator for your call, you can just even volunteer, even if it's not your meeting. And so you're just going to say your name, all right? So if Beth said her name, or she can also raise her hand. We're going to get some clues for that. I would tell, okay, go ahead, Beth. If 2 people raise their hand, then I'm going to run air traffic control. I'm going to say, okay, Beth first and then Paul. So here are the rules that we're going to establish. We're going to establish a few online rules. All right. If you're visual, you can raise your hand. If not, you can chat, or you can unmute and say your name. Those are the ways that you can do that. Also, I think there's a new button on here. You can actually raise your hand, and I actually can see that in the participants window. So then I will acknowledge you, and then I'll ask you to share something. So what I'm going to ask you to share is your name, where you're from, and what's the virtual team challenge or virtual team building challenge that you're having. So if you have any questions, you can hit me up in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to stop sharing and let's find out. Oh, there's a lot of people here. Again, if you have your cameras, please turn your cameras on. It's going to be a big help to me and everyone else. Well, there's a lot of great people here. Who would like to go first? Let's go to Beth.
My name is Beth. I live in McHenry, Illinois, and the challenge that we're having is, along with everyone else, we're trying to teach people how to work effectively from home.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Beth. Yeah, teach people. Not only do it yourself, but now you got to teach people. That should be fun. Who else would like to go next? Let's go to David. David, how do you say your last name?
Di Giuseppe.
Beautiful. Go ahead, David.
I work in Seattle, Washington at a health insurance company with some of the other folks on this call. We're actually using Microsoft Teams. It's going really well in terms of productivity. We don't as far as I've seen, we haven't had trouble with interruptions and people speaking over each other. I think for us, just making sure that what we don't see, you know, our team members feeling connected and engaged and not losing their overall connection to the team.
I'm going to ask David a little bit more too about feeling connected and engaged. So if you're on teams, why are they feeling disconnected or not engaged? I'm just curious.
Well, no, what my point is, like I've had several meetings with folks, people are saying they feel good, they've adapted to working from home, but I only see them for a snippet of the day. And so what should we be doing as leaders in terms of sending that daily email or, you know, something interesting or funny we can send just so people are feeling like they're okay overall with the online environment?
Perfect. Thanks, David. You know, I think what you're talking about is the social aspect of work too. It's like if we only do the transactional pieces, you miss all that, the water cooler. And again, I was an ex-Microsoftie. The building was in the shape of an X. And in the center was the bathroom and the receptionist and the copy room. Remember when we used to have copy rooms? And so the reason for that, it was in an X, is that everyone would eventually have to bump into each other in the center. And that bumping in is really important for us. In fact, I felt like a lot of the business got done there. You have to look for new ways digitally to bump in. And I'll invite you to one of our happy hours. It's every Wednesday and Friday at 5 o'clock. And you can see some of this social bumping in that we're doing into. Thank you so much, David. Who would like to go next? Excellent. Thank you, Teresa. And then M. Cern, I'll have to get your name in a second. Go ahead, Teresa.
Thanks, John. My name's Teresa Warrenstaff. I'm a collaborative leadership advisor, and I work with leaders and teams. And I've participated in a few of John's happy hours, and I can attest to his ability to bring people together and really elevate the conversation. And I wanted to experience his work because it's really a great contribution in this environment. So thanks for having us.
Thank you, Teresa. And Teresa's been on a lot of our casts, so thank you so much for the support. And yeah, you have not been on this today, so I'd love to hear your feedback for that. And again, Teresa's in Seattle. Let's go to Michael.
Hi, Mike Cerny. I work for the same health insurance company that David does in Seattle. And one of the challenges I'm having, it's kind of a similar challenge to what David was saying, but almost the opposite. I'm trying to run efficient meetings, efficient one-on-one meetings. And I'm trying to engage on a personal level for the first few minutes, which sometimes turns into the first 10, 12, 15 minutes. So balancing that time and getting to the work part of the job has been something that I want to improve upon.
Michael, can you tell me like what's the challenge? So the fact that you're using the 10 minutes is great, right? That means you have awareness about it. What's like one of the challenges you're having during that time? So I have an idea.
You know, I think there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of work to be done. And I think, you know, I'm trying to just get that right balance of, and also I think other people, the people I'm talking to, they might not want to talk for 5-10 minutes about their personal lives. They might want to get to the work. So I'm just trying to find that right balance and feel out different people in different scenarios. But also just still try and keep engaged with the people that I'm talking to.
Perfect. Michael, I'm actually going to give you a resource. So we're paired, we have a partnership with a company called the Effectiveness Institute, and they have not a personality, but a behavior assessment. Let's see if I can put it in the chat. I'm just going to chat and talk at the same time. This is free till the end of April. So I have, you know, you can take this, you know, and then what you can do is have them take it. And what you'll find is, you're right, there are some personality types, they don't want to talk. They want to get to the meeting, get off, right? But then there's the social types, right? They want to come and talk to you, and they want to tell you about their cat or their dog. And so it will help you kind of identify what that is, and, you know, and it help you guess, or if they give you back the feedback, this is like a conversation you can have to help customize each of your meetings. These guys have an app that's actually really cool. So on my phone, if this person has taken the assessments and is in the database, when I have this app installed, when the phone rings, it shows me their type and reminds me how I should communicate with them that would be best for them. It's crazy, right? Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Who would like to go next? Something you'll learn about me is I'm the most patient facilitator you ever met. And a reminder, for those of you who don't have your cameras on, you can unmute and say your name, or you can chat. Oh, and Marie has her hand up and I missed it. Holy cow. I love that Amsterdam's on the line. Okay, Marie, go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Marie. I'm from Amsterdam. It's my first Zoom meeting, so I'll have to get to know, get used to everything. So the point that me and my team are struggling most with is, I'd say, like definitely also like being fully isolated with at the moment results, and it feels like you're having meetings all day because you want to keep aligned with everyone. So then some days you've just been sitting in meetings and you feel like, oh, okay, I didn't really work a lot because it's just like one call after another. So like how you can actually like find some sort of balance there, or also like make meetings a bit more effective and efficient.
Marie, did I get this right? You work at an e-bike company.
Yes.
Can you talk about your product for just a sec? I'd just be curious.
Well, we have a couple of brands in our portfolio. I'm not sure. Actually, I don't think because we unfortunately had to sell most of our business in the US. So not sure if you're able to get your hands on it. But we do have like really cool mountain bike brands like High Bike and Lapierre. Also have some more like leisure brands like Rally. So yeah, quite a big portfolio.
You guys have won e-bike of the year 2019, 2020 Design and Innovation Awards. This, by the way, thank you, Marie, for joining us too. And what time is it in Amsterdam? I don't have my world clock up right now.
It's 8:20 in the evening.
Oh, well, cheers. I love Amsterdam, one of my favorite cities to visit. No, this is one of the greatest part of my jobs right now. Like, this is kind of the gift that coronavirus is giving me. I've been professing this stuff for 20 years, and people were kind of, but they always wanted the face-to-face stuff first. But now there's an immediate interest in this, and I've now had a chance to meet people from Slovakia, Hungary, Amsterdam, Ireland, New Zealand, and it fills me with joy in the middle of my day, I gotta admit. Thank you so much, Marie. All right, let's see. Let's continue on through the people who are logged in but don't have cameras. Again, you can unmute and say your name. Oh, let's see. I think I got one. T. Mason says he's from Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you so much, T. You work for the Tennessee state government, and we have various levels of adaptiveness to teams. Interesting. T, say more, various levels of adaptiveness. If you could give me an example, that would be great. Thank you so much. And I'm not sure if T, oh yeah, T, oh yeah, you have a mic. T, can you actually say something? He's unmuted, but we'll see. Okay, well, that's okay, T. Thank you for introducing yourself. Let me put you in. T. Mason, also known as Terry. Okay, how about Paul Sherman? Paul Sherman, can you unmute your mic and say hello? And this is the fun part with the online piece. Jason Wicklin. Oh, good. Jason, we got video from Jason. Jason, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, John. Thanks. I've got two little ones here in lunchtime, so a little bit loud in the background, so hopefully it doesn't come through too much. But I'm Jason Wicklin. I work for a real estate development and management company in Seattle, and I'm currently I'm leading a team of about 50 people with about 4 managers who report directly to me. So I'm trying to coordinate effective, collaborative, and efficient delivery of work day to day, but in a very coordinated way. And I've got really good managers who are owning their teams and owning their work really well, but I want to do it in the most coordinated way I can do it as a leader to them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jason. Hopefully we learned something today. And for both Jason and T, they both said they have background noise. I gave you a link to a reference called Crisp, something my friend from Taiwan sent to me. This is a really cool app and actually installs noise canceling app onto either your laptop or your phones, both Apple and Droid. It is a paid service, but right now I'm trying it free until the middle of April. And if you click my link, I think I get an extension. But I don't get any money, just so you know. Thank you so much, Jason. All right, let's try again. Paul, if Paul's available, you can unmute. If not, unmute Stephanie from Orlando. There she comes. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, my name's Stephanie. I work at a nonprofit that's involved in college football and events in Orlando. And we are not used to anyone working remotely. It's a pretty small team. So we are struggling with, not struggling, but it's new to us to have everybody communicating through Teams and using Zoom for meetings. So I'm just trying to pick up some tips that I can share with my coworkers and my C-levels.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I was at Disney World and I actually got into the Ride of the Resistance before coronavirus, and I don't think I'm positive.
Good for you.
So, Stephanie, if you do have a camera, even if you feel like you're not camera ready, it will be a benefit for you to turn it on. But if not, that's totally fine. I'm going to move on to Chris. Chris Talent, are you there? Let's say 80s movie reference. Ready? Bueller. Bueller. Anyone? Bueller. I think Jason got it. I saw the smile. Okay, Chris, we'll find out later. If you are on, just let me know. Oh, sorry, had to jump on another call. So this is what I'm talking about, right? A lot of you asked about team engagement. And this is the reality, right? Teresa's cat's already walked through the camera. And I love your cat, by the way, Teresa. It's not, I'm just saying. And Chris here, right? Because his camera's not on, we can't see. We don't know, right, if he's on or off, or has to take another call. And you know, if it's priority work call, he's gonna take that call. Jason's got kids. His kids come, like, I've actually seen calls where kids come in and, right? Best email that I heard, or best thing that I heard from another woman was, she's a owner of a business, and she said, my 4th grader emailed her teacher to let her know she was hungry because her mom is on too many Zoom calls. This is our new reality, people. Okay, great. So I think we have almost everybody checked in and we have an idea about what they're doing. So that's called Go Ahead Caller, and you can see how we were able to create some structure. We have about 12 people online, and get a chance, though, you could at least really hear everybody. You kind of at least know something about everybody who's on and where they're at. Even knowing where they're at technologically wise is also useful. So that's Go Ahead Caller. Now, the second thing I'm going to introduce to you is the chat. Now, I introduced the chat here I call this back channel chat, which means that while I'm presenting, you guys here too, one way for you to, you know, my agenda is to keep you engaged, but for you also, if you want to stay engaged, or sometimes you want to get more done, like I'm just a big multitasker, to be honest, I start hitting chat in other people's webinars and other people's conferences. And I end up having sidebar. This is where you can actually have an effective sidebar conversation. And I usually end up finding out those people who I want to meet. So the back channel chat is really important. You want to first establish this, because I can tell you a lot of people do not establish this chat window, and kind of give them some rules for it, saying, you know what, if you have a thought, put it out here. If you have a question, you put it out here. And if you see I can react as a speaker to your chat, and there's nothing like engagement, right? When T goes out and he chats me something, and then I read it back to him, and he's like, oh my God, John's actually paying attention to me, even though I don't have any audio. So show people the chat window, encourage them to use it when others are speaking. And I feel like it helps extroverts, right? You get your ideas out without having to talk over people, right? I know I'm one of those on these video conference meetings. I have to be really conscious of how much airtime I take. So I usually have to sit on my hands, and so this is a way for me to get out. But this also, I feel, helps introverts, because introverts, for the most part, were consuming all this information, people, windows, content, and then they get the right idea. Most of the times in my team building events, it's the introverts who get the right idea after sitting there and processing all that information. The chat room is a place for it to get those ideas out without, oh, look at, I have a typo, after listening. This is great. So you can see editing in real time with me. Thank you so much. Okay.
Hey, Jack, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make sure I understand what you're saying on the chat. So it sounds like you're advocating that the presenter activate chatting with, or the meeting leader activate chatting with attendees, as opposed to 2 attendees having a sidebar while someone else is presenting?
I'll see if I can try and decode your statement, David. I would definitely say whoever's organizing and or presenting, turn on the chat and introduce it and just all they have to do is say, hey, you guys, make sure and hit the chat window, make sure it's open in your view. And I encourage you, right, to either chat me questions or chat to each other about ideas that you're having. So forth and so on. Does that make sense, David?
Okay, yes, I got it.
Okay, great. So, and of course, here in this class, right, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go to chat. So let's just do a little chat networking right here. So chat either your LinkedIn profile or your company's URL, right? Some of you have already done work. So I'm doing the same here. And I'm doing my LinkedIn profile in case you want to hang out with me. That's me. So as others do that, okay, David has chatted his website. Thank you, David. Marie and Michael have. I think you guys too. I think Gretchen, you guys are just copying and pasting from Michael or David. Gretchen's here.
You're famous here in Seattle, John.
Me?
Yeah.
Wow, tell me more.
Well, I think our head of HR knows of you and sent something around. So several of us all in the same team, same company, signed up at the same time.
Oh, fantastic. Can I ask whose name? Is it not somebody who's logged in?
No, he's not logged in. His name is Alex Gerard.
Wow, I have to think about them. Cool. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the reference. Yeah, the word of mouth now, super high. Let's see. Beth is in. I got Beth. Jason. Jason. There you go. Okay. Nothing from Paul yet, I don't believe. Jason, yes, there you go, Jason. So now we're going to go check. Chris Talent, if you haven't chatted something. Oh, T. Mason has. Thank you so much, T. Did somebody see something from Chris Talent? I'm going to change Kristen's name. Hey, nobody's seen Chris. Stephanie has. Thank you, Stephanie. See, now too, if you guys wanted to speed network, all you got to do is click on all the LinkedIn profiles and say meet up or connect or join or whatever. Teresa, did you put it in there? Teresa, oh, there it is. I see it. And Paul Sherman, did Paul get anything in here? I don't believe Paul, so Paul might just be hanging out. Okay, and I believe that's everybody. Okay, cool. So thank you so much for that, right? And now we established that those who are on chat, those who can actually chat. So this is actually really useful too, right? We're talking about engagement. Now I already know some things, right? So like, right, Paul, right? Paul's just listening in right now. He's not an active participant. He, for whatever reason, it's okay, Paul. I'm just saying, like, you haven't chatted. So, it's a really good place to check engagement for that. If Paul is on, right, and does have the ability to chat, now he's scrambling for his keyboard going, oh God, everyone's gonna know where the hell am I, Paul, right? So this is a really key piece about engagement, and that helps people feel connected, that they actually have somebody who's paying attention, right? And it's really, really key piece. So now, let's continue on with the team building now that we've established chat. Now I'm going to give you your first team building assignment. So with this, I'm going to ask you to play doctor and patient. And what I mean by that is patient means approach this like you're a participant and a team member in a team. Okay? So you really want to try and solve this. The doctor part is put on your second level hat on and say, what is happening with me? What emotions am I feeling? What do I think is happening in the group dynamic? And you can even ask, what the hell was John thinking? All right, great. So doctor and patient. Here's the assignment. The assignment is to chat A to Z, one letter at a time in the chat window. So you can only chat one letter at a time. In other words, David might be the out-of-the-box thinker, might think, oh, I can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and just hit return. No, you gotta do one letter at a time. You can't chat them twice in a row. So if David goes, right? David can't go again. He has to wait for Jason or Marie or Stephanie, okay? So you cannot chat twice in a row. You can chat more than once during the time. You just can't do it in a row. You must restart if you missed a letter or you repeat a letter. So if you go A, C, D, you got to start over, okay? And if you go A, B, C, D, D, you repeated the letter, you got to go over again. While you're chatting A to Z, you cannot talk. While you're chatting A to Z, you cannot talk. But if you missed a letter, right, or you haven't started yet, you can talk until somebody chats the letter A, and then as soon as somebody chats the letter A, you cannot talk. First, while you have mics on, does anybody have any questions to ask me?
John, I have one question.
Go ahead.
We're doing this as a group, or each of us is trying to get from A to Z on our own in parallel?
Very good answer. Individually wouldn't be a great team building initiative. So yes, you as a group, and plus you can't chat twice. So how could you do that by yourself, David? Does that make sense?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I should be on the legal team somewhere. Okay, other questions? Thank you, David. No questions? Okay, great. So I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to let them chat. Yes, go ahead.
Jason, I have a question. Can we exclude anybody? Oh, John, this is Jason. Can we exclude people who we know are not actively
probably if they haven't chatted? Yeah, Jason, if they haven't chatted, you probably might not want to involve them because, I mean, do you want a team member who's not there to change a tire?
No.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jason. Good question. Anybody else? If there are no other questions, then you guys somebody can chat A to start. There we go. Again, now no talking. Thank you, David. And then we have two Bs. Go Gretchen and Teresa. Now you got to restart. We have two A's, Gretchen and Beth. Beth, if you have to remind you, you can only chat one letter at a time. And by the way, KNIGNBRBRBRBR is not alphabetical, but that's cool. I love the creativity. Oops. Two D's, David and Teresa. Two B's from Beth and Gretchen. So Jason, as a reminder, right, if you repeat a letter or miss a letter, then you guys can talk until you chat A again. Does that make sense, Jason?
As I forgot that we could talk when we have to start over.
Oh, so we can scheme?
So if you just repeat a letter or you put something out of order, then yes, you can talk.
So why don't we decide on what the order is, and then we'll just follow it all in sequence, maybe alphabetical by last name?
Sounds good to me. Where do we see everybody's name?
Let's see, I think on the participants, if you click the participants button.
We technically can't talk right now because we have an A and a B, so we have to mess up before we can talk.
Thank you so much for that. You are correct. There you go. I like David, man. I want to party with David. So now you can continue, Jason.
All right, so I'm just looking through the list of people. It's a little bit hard because some of the names are first, last, some are last, first. Maybe instead everybody just speak up and say what number in order you would go, and we can figure that out. So maybe I'll start. This is Jason. I'll be number 1.
This is Gretchen. I'll be number 2.
This is Stephanie. I'll be number 3.
This is Michael. I'll be number 4.
Okay, we've got 4 people. Does anybody else want to participate, or do we want to just stick with 4?
This is Teresa. I'll be number 5.
Okay, then you'll be number 5. I'll be number 6.
Okay.
This is Beth. I'll be number 7.
This is David. I'll be number 8.
Okay, anybody else? All right, so I'm going to remember that I'm going to be after David. That's my cue to go next since I'm number 1. So I'm going to get started. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Do it.
Okay, here we go.
I know, he's not.
Bravo. Bravo. Yay. Yay, says Stephanie. For those who don't know too, sign language, right? This is actually applause. This is actually something very useful in video conferences. If your mic is not on, you can actually show applause like this, and presenters pick up on that. Most importantly, I'll help you check in with some of my insights from this. But I would love to hear yours. What was happening for you? If you have something you'd like to share, just raise your hand or unmute and let me know your name. Anybody like to share?
This is Jason.
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
We'll go to Jason and then David. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that was a great example of how a lot of teams dive into problem solving immediately, and sometimes underinvest in the time to make a plan first, and then you spend a lot of time trying things out and not quite sure if you're all thinking the same way or aligned on how you're going to solve the problem. And I run into that every day with my team, so great example.
Yeah, this is where you establish this rhythm with the team. Now, again, this is a simple example, but you can see how hard it is, right? And you have to remember if you remember what you were experiencing at the beginning, when you start getting double B's and double C's. I mean, to me in work, that's like extra work, rework, right? People, out of order. The client is getting stuff at the wrong time. It's frustrating. It's really, that's what people tell me. Some of the emotions they're feeling are frustrated, and because they know they can do better, but they're just not doing it. And all they have to do is establish that rhythm. And so, like, this is for you as a manager, which as soon as you see that, you know that you should stop doing what you're doing. Actually, I do GoPro analysis. So in our physical team building events, I run GoPros on the teams, and I reverse analyze all the video. And that one of the aspects of high performing teams is that when they're lost, they stop and they meet. And it's short. It's like a huddle. It can be as small as 50 seconds, but I've seen in footage a 50-second meeting change the outcome of the game for them. Quite often it's the point where they begun to win the game. So thank you, Jason, for your insights there. David, how about you?
Well, I thought I was paying close attention to the instructions, and I think I realized I wasn't absorbing it all because I thought it had to be silent. So I was impressed when Jason stepped in and corralled us.
Thank you, David. And this is really key. I like that. You said well led to Jason, right? And David, it's easy when we're in virtual environments to make assumptions. By the way, the number one way I can tell if a team is in the top 20% or the lower 80% is the number of questions they ask before I start. Do you remember how many questions your group asked?
Maybe 2.
And they were both you, David. So that's my compliment to you.
Oh,
I'm telling you, in new environments, especially new environments here too, even if you kind of know each other, you get in this new environment, you may not have that level of trust yet around each other. So most of the time we're just like, shut up and I got this, right? And quite often you find out later, David, that nope, you really don't got this. And so that ability to, somebody actually gave it to me, it's a Microsoft person who was on the last call, and she said, your ability, John, to create psychological safety in here to make observations and ask questions was really something I learned from the last hour. Anybody else have any other observations kind of in the, so again, this questioning is what happened. The next question is, so what? So what did some of this mean to you? What did you learn? Anybody else who has observations they'd like to add?
I'm curious how far you've seen people get before somebody steps in and starts talking.
Well, Jason, right? I want to compliment you because the ability to take that kind of leadership is what I want you to look for in terms of digital leadership or virtual leadership. And each of you can be this, right? I'll tell you one great story though, Jason. There's somebody who's slightly better than you if you're slightly competitive. She was from Detroit. She actually ran dinner groups, but you could tell she had that I think there's a name for it. We have for it as commanding kind of presence. She got the group to have a system. She's the only one who got a system before they even tried. It was instinctual. It came to her. She's like actually one of the best leaders I've met online to date. And so does that help answer your question a little bit, David?
Well, that's actually the reverse. We got to D, and I was pretty impressed that we made it to D. I was wondering if any group, without setting any rules, has made it fairly deep.
There was a group who started chatting, and they were almost able to establish a system. They got to like T or U without talking to each other. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to be actually the first team that got there. And then somebody screwed it up. They didn't really have a rhythm, but they were kind of close to in tune. But no team has ever done it without actually establishing some kind of system, and for the most part, verbally. Other questions? Other observations? What did you guys learn?
This is just a observation or something. I felt pressure that I was going to mess it up and make the group start all over again.
Gretchen, this is a really astute observation, right? Pressure. And some people also use the word anxiety during this team building initiative because they're like, oh my gosh, my team is relying on me, and I know that we're being measured or something like that. And so you have to remember your teams is under this same type of anxiety. And right, if you are one to value empathy, You got to know why your teams are disconnected. They might be frazzled. You have to think about all the other anxiety they're dealing with too, in their own house, right? Having these people here worrying about their relatives in another city or friends. And so that anxiety is real. And if you want to be a great virtual leader, is to recognize it, sometimes even acknowledge it, saying, hey, look, I have anxiety. I understand the anxiety you're going through. And you can even talk about it, and sometimes it depressurizes it just enough so that people can now go, okay, I can breathe, and now let's get back to work. So it's very astute observation. Beth, I know you have so much experiential education. I'm going to ask you and at least ask Teresa for some intel. Beth, do you want to share anything? So what would you do different based on this, or any other observations you have?
I don't know. I don't really have anything else to add. I did like how the natural leader emerged, which is kind of cool. And then in Jason, and then I also felt stressed, Gretchen. Stress caused me anxiety because I thought I was going to mess it up. So no, I don't really have anything else to add.
Thank you, Beth. I would love your comments later too, because Beth has actually taken a number of courses around experiential education and went to a college that specialized in it. So I love your later reflections. You can send them by email if you don't mind, if they come to you. Okay. Teresa, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
You know, I think this was an absolutely brilliant exercise, and it really highlighted how important collaboration is as we move forward into this digital relationships, and creating boundaries, creating what I call immutable laws, those things that we agree, these are the foundations under which we will work every day, every interaction. And for me, who's very focused on soft skills, it's compassion, empathy, kindness, respect, language. How do we language things, and what's acceptable and what's not? It creates a bucket of security and safety, as to coin your term, John, psychological safety for the teams. And I think once we do that, then people can rise up. Then the anxiety diminishes, they understand the playing field, and they can step into their greatness in a new way. So yeah, good job.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Psychological safety, Google found, right, in their Aristotle team project, one of the top 5 things you need to have a high performing team. Psychological safety. And you got to remember, people's psyche right now, your mental health is one of the most important things each of you need to take care of so that you can take care of the people that you work with. I also got to put this side note. Did anybody gasp when Teresa got up in the middle? I did. Yeah, look at Marie shaking her head. Okay, great. And I was too. And I was like, wait a minute, you got a letter coming up. Where are you going? And so, you know, this is something that's interesting, you know, and then she gave me back the confidence because she knew what was going on to come back in time, that we weren't just sitting around, right, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for her. But I'll just tell you, that's the funny things. These are the cues that we get from cameras, right? And so you can tell, you look at the people that you have here and think about, who do I feel more connected with and who do I feel less connected with? And Paula and Stephanie, I'm sorry, but you know, just because we've only heard a little bit from you and we don't get this extra information, it's very challenging to know where you're at. And so that's what I'm telling you. If you have the ability to tell your teams to turn their cameras on, even if they feel like they're not camera ready, but maybe they should be, your team will have a distinct advantage over teams who don't turn the cameras on. And so I know people used to like to leave them off, but now I really try to encourage them to come on. All right, so I'm going to give you some my feedback here as we attempt to close this down. So this is what I was trying to tell you about rhythm. When your team establishes rhythm, you can perform like this. This is a Japanese drill team that's on my screen now. And you can see, look at the amazing stuff that they do when they have that rhythm and they're in time. That's what we're looking for. You know, the last part here is then to create results. So the rhythm I'm going to ask you that you can create online can start as easy as starting and ending each meeting the same. If you find a way, like whether it's a check-in or a hello or whatever it is, and then something at the end, I'll show you how I close my meetings here in just a minute. Start and end them the same. That will help your team create rhythm. Find the rhythm for sharing and solving information. So this stuff in the middle, you can change leaders, you can, you know, use some of the screen sharing features or whatever it is, find a rhythm. If you find something that works, do it again. The next is bring your culture online. So you have things in your culture that might be, you know, a mascot or an animal or things that you used to do or a phrase that you say. Bring that online, right? Those are anchors for people to come back and help you create stability. And if you don't have something that works online, make new culture, right? I got a chance to visit Zappos last year, the Kings of Culture in Las Vegas, and they showed really cool things that you can invent. Like when they have a new hire come in, after they go through the 4 weeks of training, they have this massive theater. They invite their coworkers, their trainers, and their family to come in the middle of the day, and they celebrate them like NBA players for making it through the 4 weeks of training. That's part of their culture. Whatever it is for you, find your culture. So actually I want to add one other piece to this about your results. You guys completed this in 1 minute and 47 seconds. You are currently the second fastest team to date. So cheers to each of you. That's what you have when you have rhythm, right? So the last piece I'm going to show you is what you can't see. How I create some of the psychological safety, what Teresa was talking about. I do a lot of diversity and inclusion work, and making people feel included. Also, one of the things you got to look here is the technology diversity and inclusion or exclusion, whether it's video or chatting or the phone. What you can see now on my screen is a participation map. I use this from the registration from this class. I figure out who actually came in. The information that you gave me online, I actually used that. Imagine that. I rearrange this, and then I actually have places in here where as we go through each activity, I can figure out if you participated or not. This is how I knew everyone who was chat capable wasn't. And this is also, you can see here, I had a no response from Paul. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to expect any more chats from him. That's fine. So I'll stop calling on him. This participation map is, I hope, a little behind the scenes genius that you can see about how do I create some of the things that I have here. I will send you a copy of this map, and so you have an example, and feel free to use it. If you're a very analog person, print out a version of the map that's blank, write their names in as you go along, and make marks for when they talk. And you notice most of the time patterns that will come out. So this is what I was talking about in your results. Again, you guys created 1 minute, 47 seconds. And hopefully now you have some pieces here that you can create some results back in your online meetings. You can create successful online meetings. You'll increase your ability to get work done under challenging conditions, especially if you're managing 50 people. You can help and lead your company, you know, no matter what position. I think there's a great leveler. People are saying that, right? The coronavirus doesn't see race or other these types of things. It's leveling the playing field. This virtual is also leveling the playing field, and you can become a new leader if you can just display this. And you can show new ways to help. So again, the solution here, this is interactive. I had 4 letters that I did with this, GRRR. What's the first G stand for? If you can actually unmute, you can let me know.
Goals.
Goals, thank you so much. What's the next R?
Rules.
Rules, yes. What's the next R?
Rhythm.
Rhythm.
Rhythm. And the final R is?
Results.
Yes. Look, I actually have 100% retention. What an amazing piece. I want a last piece to do results. I'll probably go just a few minutes over. If you do need to drop off right at 1 o'clock, just chat me and I'll understand. Hopefully you can stay for this close. I just wanted to show you an example of result from my hometown here in Seattle. Canlis is a 4-star restaurant, 4-star dining. Some of the best fine dining. This is a great celebration restaurant. They said this: times are changing and so are we for now. We're shutting down our dining room and bringing the food out to you. Fine dining is not what Seattle needs right now. Instead, this is one idea for safely creating jobs for our employees while serving as much of our city as we can. We got this, Seattle. Canlis is a 3-generation restaurant. And I present this because on March 6th, in a week, they changed their entire business model. Instead of fine dining, they opened up a bagel shed in the morning. They opened up a drive-through at lunch. And now at dinner time, you can get a home cooked dinner from a 4-star restaurant with a bottle of wine. They had me at a bottle of wine delivered to your doorstep. And in many restaurants now, of course, now allowed to deliver alcohol. And so this opened up 4 days ago. This was the press picture from their place. They had a line down the street. I've seen their website. They sold out the bagel shed at 10:06 in the morning.
Wow.
This is an incredible story. And I give this as a story to you. Many of you have had to do furloughs, layoffs, or other types of things. There is a possibility if you adapt. If you can get these things and get your teams, they want their jobs. They want to do this. If you find a way to help people in this new reality, you can be successful. And Canlis is doing it. It's really impressive. So this is virtual team building. Of course, my name is John Chen with Geoteaming. If you got any value to this, the one way you can help me out is share this link, geoteaming.com/virtual team building. You'll also get it in an email within 24 hours of this program. But again, geoteaming.com/virtual team building. And the last initiative I have here is called The Last Word. The last word is if you just like to share something before you go about what you learned today or what you think you're actually going to use, just signal me, let me know, and we'll hopefully get a chance to hear from everyone before we go. So who would like to go first? Okay, let's go to Jason.
Daily goals.
Thank you. Jason is going to be, I can't wait to see his first email. Let's go to Gretchen.
I liked what you said about starting and ending meetings the same, so I'm going to be thinking about doing that.
Something really cool you can create in terms of culture. So thank you so much for that, Gretchen. I hope it brings success to you. Beth.
I love the GRRR. I love that. Just a great way to, a little acronym to remember.
People who've been emailing back after this course say the rhythm, especially R, like they immediately now get the sense, my team is not in rhythm, I have to do something. So Beth, thank you for that. You know, we create an acronyms as trainers, so you actually might remember it. Thank you, Beth. Let's go to David.
I like this concept of psychological safety and folks describing, you know, during our exercise where they didn't feel comfortable speaking up. And so just thinking as a leader about how to create that safe space.
You know, the best part too, David, is when you get this rhythm, it becomes safer and safer. This is the one thing I'm actually seeing in my happy hour. And again, I will send you an invite to it, that the longer that we stay together, the more psychological safety they have. Of course, this means that I don't broadcast those meetings and I actually don't record them. And that helps create an additional layer of psychological safety, which an unknown member was seen drinking straight from a Jack Daniel's bottle on Zoom, and it was hilarious. So thank you, David. Who else would like to go? Let's go to Teresa.
For me, it reinforces the need for psychological safety, and I think your exercise was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And if you love these games and exercises, you're going to get an invite to Virtual Team Building 2. Only people who've gone through the course are invited to 2. We're going to take 90 minutes and we're going to play as many games as possible during that time. Some of you might actually lead a game and I will coach you. So thank you, Teresa. Who else would like to go? Let's go to Michael.
I agree with what everybody has said. I'd just like to add, I liked having the ability to see 7 other faces on my screen at once at the same time. These are the probably 7 people. I know some of them, some people I don't know, but it's nice to see and interact with other people from around the world. And not just people in my family, which they're great, but it's good to communicate to other people, with other people too.
Yeah, Michael, your ability to lead productive meetings like this right now, if you are in business too and networking is part of your mission or your goals, open up stuff like this because people are ready. They have the time, right? It's going to happen for a limited period, but you can really be seen as a leader in this area. And convening, I think convening these groups are 10 times better than webinars, just me personally, because I get a really chance to know you as opposed to talk to you for 60 minutes. And so Very astute, Michael. Thank you very much for that. Marie, I love that you got the hand feature. You're the only one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it because that's what I'm missing in Teams. No, I mean, I already got the invite for virtual team building too, and I'm really looking forward to it because I feel with all the exercises and games you're playing, it's like really eye-opening that things like rhythm like really like makes a difference, and also like knowing how to get there.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Marie. And thank you for staying up in Amsterdam. Paul, if you're actually on the line, you can unmute. And if you're not, I think Paul's been I think that's good. I think we have everyone. Well, good. I'm going to give my last word then. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in for 60 minutes here. I hope that you got something really valuable in terms of virtual team building. I really hope to see you in virtual team building too. If you stay in the chat room, I'm going to put my happy room in there. Happy hours things at 5 o'clock tonight. Actually, we're going to have happy hour, and at 6 o'clock we're actually watching Milan with a whole collection of people across the country. So if you want to see some other stuff we're doing online, we'd love to do that. But most of all, thank you so much, and I really hope to hear stories of each of your team's success. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.